Science is about knowledge. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. But what if I told you that there is more out there than just the kind of knowledge that is acquired by our scientific methods? The carefully conducted experiments, the thorough data analysis, the critical thinking, and so on. Imagine large bodies of knowledge that are rarely used or even respected by scientists, but which are sometimes decades or centuries or even millennia ahead of science. I know this sounds a bit like a fairy tale, but actually, I'm talking about indigenous or traditional knowledge. Think, for example, about the kind of knowledge that a shepherd acquires over the course of the years when grazing their sheep, or the knowledge that indigenous people have amassed and often passed on and refined over generations. Believe it or not, there are many cases where science is only just catching up with what indigenous people have known for generations. A few years back, a scientific study made international headlines claiming that Australian birds of prey, mainly black kites and falcons, are spreading wildfires by carrying burning sticks in their beaks or their claws to new locations. These birds benefit from the fire because they can easily hunt down mice and lizards and other small animals that are fleeing the fire. It was the first time that science found evidence that animals use fire to their advantage. But this was only discovered because scientists work closely with Aboriginal groups living in Northern Australia. What became a subject of a scientific paper in 2017 was common knowledge amongst the Aboriginals. Quote, "They've known this for probably 40,000 years or more," said Mark Bonta in an interview with National Geographic. Mark is from Penn State University and is one of the authors of this study. Another interesting example of the collaboration between science and Indigenous people are the Clam Gardens of the Indigenous people of British Columbia in Canada. As you can see, these clam gardens are rock-walled, terrace-like constructions that provide the ideal habitat for butter clams and other edible shellfish. For thousands of years, Indigenous people built clam gardens, and by doing so, they practiced a sustainable form of cultivating marine organisms long before anyone in Western societies even started thinking about something like this. But their knowledge was almost lost, and the old clam gardens were falling apart. Only a handful of the elders knew how to build and maintain a clam garden. Adam Dick was the clan chief of a First Nations tribe, whose name I am probably not going to pronounce right, so you can see it in writing here. Adam worked closely with archaeologists and marine ecologists, and together they started a movement of people who are trying to rebuild the old clam gardens along North America's coastline. It is a fantastic example of how scientists and Indigenous people can both benefit from each other if they collaborate as equals. Adam Dick is a co-author of the scientific papers that have resulted from this collaboration, and the scientists helped him to preserve his memories of the clam gardens. Unfortunately, there are also cases where the knowledge of Indigenous people has been exploited by scientists and even by industries. For example, when using medicinal plants. It is crucial to ensure that something like this doesn't happen if you start collaborating with someone who has traditional or Indigenous knowledge. Putting their name as a co-author on a paper can be a good start. Another important type of knowledge to consider is local knowledge. The type of knowledge that you get when you live in a place, when you spend time with the people there, when you get to know their habits and the ways of their thinking. Such knowledge can, for instance, be crucial for understanding how people will react to new policies. For example, a program was once introduced in parts of India to improve infant nutrition. It was very successful, and so everyone thought it would definitely work in Bangladesh as well, because after all, it is a neighbouring country. Unfortunately, that plan didn't work at all. One reason was that the social structures of families were vastly different from that in India. Had the local knowledge been considered, the program would have been modified to suit Bangladesh's needs, instead of this blind claim that it has worked there, so will also work here. Often the best strategy for anticipating such effects is to bring together different forms of knowledge. In practice, that means bringing together different people. Those trained in traditional scientific methods, those directly affected, and professionals who work with the communities in question. This may seem like a daunting task, but including local and traditional knowledge in your research might give you a new perspective on your research topic, a perspective that is not constrained by Western expectations or logic. And who knows, that might even lead towards completely unanticipated insights.